Here is the front of a Bugatti Chiron Per Sport, and here is the rear half of a Bugatti Chiron Per Sport, and today we've got to connect both of them together.
Matt Armstrong didn't just rebuild wrecked supercars, he challenged the very foundation of automotive exclusivity, sparking outrage from industry giants. Few expected his garage projects to catch the eye of the FIA President, but the message that followed could change everything for car enthusiasts and manufacturers alike. Could this be the start of a new era, where right-to-repair battles reach the highest levels of motorsport governance? Or is Matt walking a dangerous line with brands that have billions invested in secrecy and control? The answers lie ahead. The unexpected call. When Matt Armstrong, the YouTube creator known for rebuilding wrecked supercars, received a phone call from FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem, few expected the moment to spark such intrigue. The call was not a routine message or casual outreach. Instead, it signaled that Matt's unconventional rebuild projects, often completed without original manufacturer parts, had attracted the attention of one of the highest authorities in motorsport and automotive regulation. Reports suggest the conversation carried a mix of warning and cautious encouragement. Matt had already built a reputation for challenging industry norms, particularly around the exclusivity of supercar ownership and repairs. His videos questioned why only manufacturers and approved specialists should control the rebuilding process. The FIA's direct involvement hinted that his influence had grown beyond entertainment and into a space touching automotive politics and regulation. Part of what made the situation remarkable was Matt's background. Unlike traditional mechanics or industry insiders, he rose to prominence as an independent content creator, willing to document both successes and failures. That transparency earned him millions of followers, but also criticism from luxury car brands wary of his methods. The FIA President's call suggested that Matt's impact was now impossible for the wider industry to ignore. What was actually said during the conversation remains unclear. Some speculate it was a subtle warning about the implications of his rebuilds.
You might have seen on the last main channel video that we started rebuilding the Bugatti Chiron Per Sport,
while others believe it may have been an attempt to open dialogue with a growing right-to-repair movement. The mystery surrounding the call fueled debate among fans, critics, and industry observers, all wondering what it meant for the future of independent automotive creators. The FIA's interest carried significant weight because the organization oversees not only Formula One, but also broader safety and regulatory standards in motorsport and automotive engineering. As a result, many viewed the call as more than a personal interaction. It symbolized a clash between traditional automotive power structures and a new generation of independent builders challenging long-standing industry practices. Reaction online was immediate. Supporters saw the moment as proof that independent creators like Matt were pressuring major manufacturers and regulators to rethink their approach to ownership and repairs. Critics, however, worried that amateur rebuilds of high-performance cars could raise safety concerns. The discussion became a larger debate about innovation versus control, accessibility versus exclusivity. As Matt continued rebuilding some of the world's most expensive and complex cars, every new project seemed to carry greater significance. His videos were no longer viewed as simple garage entertainment, but as part of a broader challenge to automotive authority. The mysterious call from the FIA President marked a turning point, showing that the work happening in Matt Armstrong's garage had reached the highest levels of the automotive world. The real question now was what would come next, and whether Matt Armstrong's fearless approach to rebuilding could continue without crossing lines that even the FIA could not overlook. The rise of Matt Armstrong itself adds vital context to this unfolding drama. Matt's rise in automotive influence. Matt Armstrong began far from luxury car garages or corporate boardrooms. Originally a BMX rider drawn to adrenaline and danger, his early career focused on performing risky tricks and documenting them on YouTube. However, a serious shoulder injury in 2013 forced him to rethink his future. That setback pushed him toward another lifelong passion: cars. Matt entered the automotive world by rebuilding damaged everyday vehicles in his own garage. Unlike traditional mechanics, he documented the entire process openly, including mistakes and failures. His raw, transparent style connected with viewers who appreciated seeing the learning process rather than polished perfection. Over time, this authenticity transformed him from a niche creator into a major figure in automotive media. As his confidence and skills grew, so did the scale of his projects. Matt progressed from rebuilding common cars like Volkswagen Golfs and Mercedes models to repairing exotic supercars from brands such as Ferrari, Rolls-Royce, and Aston Martin. His willingness to restore these vehicles without relying on manufacturer-approved parts or dealerships challenged long-standing industry norms. To many fans, he became a symbol of resistance against the exclusivity surrounding hypercars and luxury car ownership. Matt also started to get more attention for openly criticizing the high-end manufacturers. He was saying that spare parts were often priced too high and that access was restricted in a way that felt unnecessary. In his view, many components could be reproduced using modern tech, like 3D printing, or else sourced more affordably somewhere else entirely. Honestly, his angle kind of matched up with the growing right-to-repair idea, and it picked up support from car enthusiasts who were tired of getting blocked when it comes to fixing, repairs, and basic servicing. At the same time, though, not everyone felt the same. Some people inside the automotive industry criticized his methods. The luxury brands and the certified repair networks argued that rebuilds done without authorization can end up hurting safety, reliability, and even the brand's own image. But supporters pushed back. They praised his DIY style and the transparency, and they treated him as a kind of proof that independent builders could still push against corporate control, even when it feels locked down. As his audience kept growing, Matt's influence slowly moved past just YouTube entertainment. He started dealing with legal, corporate, and cultural debates too, all around ownership, repairs, and how accessible the whole ecosystem is for everyday drivers. His projects kept sparking conversations across social media, automotive communities, and even in the wider industry. And eventually, that rising attention led to some pretty unexpected openings. Major automotive figures and luxury brands started paying him notice. Of course, that caught a lot of his followers off guard, and it also made them curious, because the whole thing was kind of surprising in a way that felt hard to predict. Matt's story of challenging the status quo set the stage for a direct confrontation with some of the most rigid players in the automotive world. Challenging hypercar brands. Matt Armstrong built his reputation by openly challenging the strict control hypercar manufacturers maintain over repairs and parts. He criticized the enormous costs charged by luxury brands and argued that many components could be recreated more cheaply using modern technology such as 3D printing. Companies like Bugatti, which only allow factory-trained technicians to service their vehicles, became frequent targets of his criticism. His outspoken approach divided the automotive world. Supporters viewed Matt as a champion of independent mechanics and the growing right-to-repair movement, while critics saw him as reckless for rebuilding high-value supercars outside official networks. Through his videos, Matt dismantled and restored cars most people would never attempt to touch, giving him a reputation as both an innovator and a troublemaker. Many luxury car owners quietly sympathized with his views, frustrated by limited repair options and inflated servicing costs. For manufacturers, however, Matt represented a threat to brand prestige, safety standards, and intellectual property protections. His use of alternative parts and improvised solutions challenged long-standing industry rules about who is qualified to repair exotic vehicles. Despite the controversy, Matt consistently demonstrated impressive technical skill. He not only restored damaged supercars, but sometimes improved them beyond factory specifications. This made it difficult for brands to dismiss him entirely, especially as his audience and influence continued to grow. His transparency also played a major role in building trust with viewers, as he openly documented failures, setbacks, and unexpected challenges instead of hiding mistakes behind polished editing or scripted presentations. Tensions increased when Matt began rebuilding even more exclusive hypercars. Bugatti reportedly refused to provide official parts or technical assistance, highlighting the growing conflict between independent creators and billion-dollar automotive companies. Rather than backing down, Matt continued pushing forward without factory support, increasing both the risks and the attention surrounding his projects. What started as personal rebuilds evolved into a broader debate about ownership rights, repair freedom, and corporate control in the automotive industry. Matt Armstrong's work sparked conversations across the global car community about whether exclusive repair monopolies should continue. Ironically, while some brands resisted him, others, most notably Aston Martin, eventually explored collaboration, creating a new and more complicated relationship between Matt and the hypercar world. His growing influence also encouraged independent mechanics and car enthusiasts worldwide to question long-standing restrictions imposed by luxury manufacturers and to advocate more openly for repair accessibility and consumer choice. The story of Matt Armstrong's evolving relationship with the industry reveals much about the delicate balance between innovation and tradition. The Aston Martin turning point. Matt Armstrong's relationship with hypercar manufacturers shifted dramatically when Aston Martin chose to collaborate with him rather than distance itself from his outspoken criticism. After years of challenging luxury brands over restrictive repair policies and exclusivity, Matt's growing influence had become impossible to ignore. Instead of treating him as a threat, Aston Martin recognized the value of his skills, creativity, and massive online audience. The partnership began after Matt purchased a heavily damaged 2019 Aston Martin Vantage for just over $60,000. Despite major structural and mechanical damage, he rebuilt much of the car in his own garage, while documenting the process for millions of viewers. Although he lacked official manufacturer certification, his work impressed Aston Martin technicians. When the vehicle was later inspected by an Aston Martin specialist named James, the feedback was largely positive, with only minor issues identified. This cooperation represented a rare shift in the hypercar industry. Rather than dismissing an independent builder who openly criticized their practices, Aston Martin effectively acknowledged Matt as a capable innovator. The company even gained insights from some of his unconventional modifications and repair methods, proving that fresh ideas could emerge outside traditional factory systems. The collaboration soon kinda expanded beyond road cars in a way that felt unexpected. Matt ended up getting access to one of Aston Martin's secret Formula One facilities, where he worked shoulder to shoulder with factory technicians on the Aston Martin AMR24 race car. The whole opportunity was groundbreaking. He became one of the first YouTubers granted this sort of behind-the-scenes access, and he was even allowed to help install components under expert supervision. By documenting how everything went, he gave his audience a rare look into elite motorsport engineering, and it also boosted his credibility quite a lot. Still, the partnership stirred mixed reactions. Some fans wondered if Matt had sorta diluted his independent image by teaming up with a big manufacturer, while others saw the deal as evidence that disruptive creators can influence even the most exclusive automotive brands. Naturally, rumors about sponsorships and corporate ties kept popping up online, but Matt largely avoided adding fuel to it, at least on purpose. And even with Aston Martin in his corner, Matt kept pushing for repair freedom and criticizing restrictive practices elsewhere in the industry, especially where Bugatti was involved. That contrast created this interesting dynamic. One luxury brand seemingly embraced him, while another resisted his approach entirely. Matt's increasing association with Aston Martin showed that even very protective automakers could recognize value in independent innovators. But as his profile and influence grew, the scrutiny around his projects grew too, particularly his most ambitious and controversial undertaking yet, rebuilding a wrecked Bugatti Chiron. Even as doors opened with Aston Martin, Matt's epic battle with Bugatti promised to test every boundary he had pushed so far. The Bugatti rebuild battle. Matt Armstrong's decision to rebuild a wrecked Bugatti Chiron became one of the most controversial projects of his career. The Chiron, valued at more than $6 million and limited to only a small number worldwide, is considered one of the most exclusive hypercars ever made. After influencer Alex Gonzalez crashed his Chiron, insurance companies reportedly declared it a total loss due to repair costs approaching $3 million. Instead of abandoning the car, Gonzalez purchased the wreck at auction for under $2 million and hired Matt to attempt a full rebuild. The project immediately put Matt in conflict with Bugatti, which strictly limits repairs to factory-approved technicians and tightly controls access to parts and technical information. Matt openly challenged that system, arguing that some components could be sourced from other Volkswagen Group vehicles or recreated using modern technologies such as 3D printing. His approach questioned the exclusivity and control that brands like Bugatti have built their reputations around. As the rebuild progressed, Matt and his team tackled major structural and mechanical challenges, including separating the Chiron's front tub from its rear drivetrain, work Bugatti claimed should only be handled by specialized engineers. Rather than relying on factory support, Matt used hands-on experimentation and creative problem-solving. He repaired damaged gearbox supports, fabricated custom parts, and explored alternative solutions for expensive components. One of the biggest obstacles showed up in Chiron's shattered headlights, which were said to run around $150,000 each to replace. Instead of just purchasing brand new units, Matt tried some inventive fixes, and that also kind of symbolized his whole thing about independent rebuilding. And the wider right-to-repair movement, too. Even after repeated requests, Bugatti didn't budge. No official parts, no real technical help. The company went public and pushed back on several of Matt's assertions about repair costs, plus whether reproducing components using 3D printing was actually practical. Bugatti representatives basically argued that some specialized pieces can't be copied, easily or cheaply, and they pointed to how complex the engineering really is. Matt answered with this stubborn resolve, saying he couldn't perfectly reproduce the car without factory cooperation, but he still believed alternative repair methods were possible. The whole project, it ended up being more than a rebuild. It turned into a kind of public conflict about ownership privileges, repair freedom, and corporate control across the hypercar industry. As the argument kept expanding, the Bugatti rebuild caught a lot of attention across basically the entire auto world. It was in that heated backdrop that FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem was reportedly reaching out to Matt, making it clear how big the situation had become. The story was no longer just about a single car or creator. It was about the future of the automotive industry itself, FIA's role and possible outcomes. The involvement of FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem in Matt Armstrong's ongoing controversy marked a rare moment where automotive regulation intersected directly with grassroots innovation. While the FIA is best known for governing Formula One and global motorsport, it also influences safety and repair standards across the automotive industry. Even as opened with Aston Martin, Matt's epic battle with Bugatti promised to test every boundary he had pushed so far. The Bugatti rebuild battle. Armstrong's decision to rebuild a wrecked Bugatti Chiron became one of the most controversial projects of his career. The Chiron, valued at more than $6 million and limited to only a small number worldwide, is considered one of the most expensive hypercars ever made. After influencer Alex Gonzalez crashed his Chiron, insurance companies reportedly declared it a total loss due to repair costs approaching $3 million. Instead of abandoning the car, Gonzalez purchased the wreck at auction for under $2 million and hired Matt to attempt a full rebuild. The project immediately met in conflict with Bugatti, which strictly limits repairs to factory-approved technicians and tightly controls access to bits and technical information. Matt openly that system, arguing that some components could be sourced from other Volkswagen Group vehicles or the standoff with Bugatti really shows the main issue, like pretty much at the very start. Bugatti says that only factory-approved technicians should touch its cars so as to keep safety, overall quality, and brand integrity intact. Matt, meanwhile, kind of says the other thing, that skilled independent mechanics should get the freedom to rebuild, restore, and generally bring vehicles back, even with alternative parts and modern manufacturing methods. And this conversation isn't just about luxury models either. It spreads out into bigger problems about ownership rights, repair access, and who actually controls the whole process for customers. The FIA's involvement maybe means upcoming shifts in how the industry thinks about repairs and aftermarket services, or at least that is the signal people are taking. Regulators could eventually try to craft policies that kind of balance safety expectations with more consumer freedom. Still, manufacturers might push back hard and lobby for tighter restrictions, partly to safeguard their intellectual property and their exclusivity. You know that moat they keep talking about. Matt Armstrong's story has moved past being simply a YouTube success thing. It turned into a real test case for how the automotive world adapts to disruptive tech, independent creativity, and the growing insistence that repairs should be easier to access. Whether Matt ends up making a long-term difference or hits a wall of resistance from the big manufacturers, the result could end up influencing how vehicle ownership and repairs work across the world. What stays clear, though, is that this debate isn't stuck in a garage anymore, or even inside one YouTube channel. Since the FIA is now in the mix, the automotive scene finds itself at a crossroads between what everyone used to do and what modernization wants to do next. Matt Armstrong's bold rebuilds have sparked a high-stakes showdown between innovation and exclusivity, drawing in the highest powers of the automotive world. Whether this leads to greater repair freedom or tighter control remains to be seen. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories where cars meet controversy.